Okay, we'll get started. And welcome everybody. And Christmas being right around the corner, I'm sure we're all in a good mood for presents and stuff. So we'll get started with Wayne Rice, who's a minister of my church, by the way. I'm a little bit prejudiced about him. He's the best minister in Grant County. He's a good one. But he's going to lead us in prayer, and then I'll say the Pledge of Allegiance.
Bow with me, please. Father, we thank you for your blessings. We thank you for the opportunity that's ours in this country to have a voice in what takes place in government and in the administration of our tax dollars. And Father, I pray that you be with us tonight as we listen attentively and we find all the constructive things that we can contribute. And we'll do it in a way that victory is always yours. Bless us, Father, and we pray this through your Son, Jesus. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Wayne, thank you so much. Really appreciate it. Sean, I want to thank you for filling for me last week. I was guilty of thinking about you. We have, of course, the citizen address. I like to kind of stick to a time frame. If I don't know if anybody's going to talk now, but it's supposed to be 3 minutes to come up to the pulpit and everything. But if there's anybody wants to say, come on up. You? But that's unusual. Okay. Come on up.
I'll be short. Good evening. I noticed on the agenda there's a motion to approve a quote from Hennick Drilling for the repair of Jameson Road. I also noticed that this quote was submitted outside of the invitation for bid process and that no responses were received through the invitation for bid. So I have a few questions. How could it be that Hennick submitted a quote outside of the invitation for bid process? Do we know why they did not respond to the invitation for bid? And I notice on the agenda that we're also presenting a motion to grant permission for Judge Executive Steve Woods to advertise for construction repairs for the Arnolds Creek Road, Blanket Road, Delaney Road, and Sipple Road.
Yes.
And I want to know what is going to be done for these invitation for bids that was different than the invitation for bid that was submitted for Jameson Road, in which no responses were received. I think
I'm trying to think of what to say here.
Well, I think I can help on some of that. The Jameson Road, when we did that for railroad ties and cribbing, which is a little different than what we're going to be bidding the other roads for the slides. Now, when we did that, the bid came out of the paper, and as I stated in the agenda, we received no sealed bids. This company contacted the road department and submitted this quote for the job.
Are we sure it's for the proper scope of work? We already had a quote before, and I would like to know if this is a firm fixed price contract.
Yeah, I can give you some information on that. I do know that the engineer of the county did go over and look at that. He did look at the bid of the, I think it's Hennington? Is it? Hennington. And the way that they had structured it and the way that the bid was done, he felt that it was a permanent fix, where the other bid, he was going to have to drill through the underneath of the road, and it was going to be the structure of the road. And he assured that it was fine, and that, he said it was a good bid, because I was concerned with the high bid versus the low bid, but they're two totally different ways of repairing the road in nature.
And to further state that it was a state engineer that went, because we do not have an engineer
Right.
on the county's payroll, and the state has utilized this contractor as well. And I was told, to your point, that the bid did not come during the period of time that we were seeking bids, that, and I don't know if this
That
is
is
true or
true.
not,
That is
but
true.
that it was emailed and it was never received at a proper email address. That's what was relayed to me now. It wasn't sent to me, I'm not sure if that's accurate, but that there was interest of this agency, of this company submitting a bid even earlier. And we were very concerned that it was, just roughly say $50,000 compared to $150,000 cost, but what we were educated on, to Ms. Coldarn's point, was that it was two separate types of fixes, and so then actually your new judge-elect is the one who took a road trip with the state engineer to verify that this method is appropriate and that it would get the job done, and does this bid seem legit from that standpoint.
So the intention is to award the contract for the $34,184.
And in addition to that, we are to pay for gravel, and when we get to this point, I was going to remind the court that last week, Ms. Conrad did submit for this road to be submitted as a request for emergency funding from the Department of Transportation, of which, I'm in favor of supporting this quote. So when we get to that point, then the next step is if the full governing body supports it, we would not authorize work to be performed until we receive acknowledgement from the state whether or not emergency funding would be approved. Because if we were to call that outfit and they start tomorrow and the state calls us Thursday that they would approve funding, we would not be eligible for that funding. So
Yeah,
we want to wait, and it may be a few weeks before the state's committee approves our expense or not. And frankly, they may not approve it, but for me, I think it's
Yeah.
worth seeing if they do so or not.
They're supposed to be giving, we're waiting for the memorandum of agreement is what we're doing. And from what I did discuss with Mr. Tatum, that moves relatively fast. But of course, you're during a holiday, so.
Right, thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else? Yes, ma'am.
You want me to
Come
read
on
it
up.
here?
Yeah, come on up, please.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Cheryl Donworth. I live on 1650 Blanchard Road. I am between the bridge being shut down and the road collapsing. So today when I got the paper, because we was wanting to know if there was anything in the paper pertaining to our road. And it's telling us that come, I'm guessing in February, according to what the paper said, our road's going to be shut down and landlock us. You can't do that. I don't want to leave my house. I've got animals to take care of. That's my home. You cannot landlock us. There's got to be a way that you all can fix this situation, okay? Me and 5 other families live between that bridge and where the road's going to collapse. Now, if it was up to me, put blacktop on it again until the new bridge is done. My husband's concern, he runs a small business there at home. He's out of work. Since that bridge shut down, nobody wants to come 8 miles around to get to him. They have a vehicle towed to him. They're not going to do it anymore. He is out of work, okay? You shut the road down, I can't get to my job. You landlock me, I can't get to work either, okay? I'm out of a job. So we've got to come up with a solution. If you're going to shut the road down on one side of us, open the bridge back up for us. Something. You can't, I know.
The state is
The
closed.
state is.
I've argued with them, they're not
You can't.
closed.
But there's something that has to be done. You can't landlock us.
What I've been told is that when we get to that point, that's one of the roads that's requested to go to bid tonight by a vote to get advertised, since we have received a confirmation that FEMA funding is available for those roads. I had been told GSI was the original outfit that bid it, those quotes, and they're probably likely the ones that will rebid, and that I don't know what this looks like yet, but that they intend to do everything that they can to not have that road fully landlocked. But again, we're not there to that point. I can tell you that the numerous conversations that I've had with the government relations representative that represents our state that has finally contacted me back, there's no way that the railroad will be making any repairs to that bridge due to the fact that the permanent solution will shortly be underway.
The railroad owns the bridges, but they say they're not responsible for doing to it.
Well, actually, they are responsible. They've acknowledged the responsibility. To me, it's just the reality of that particular bridge because it's so far, it's so close to being started by the state project that they don't have the time, manpower, or interest, basically, from what I've gathered from them, to fix that because that bridge was going to be shut down when permanent construction started anyways, which I didn't know that. That's new news to me.
Yeah, sure.
But I do believe that with GSI being a local outfit here and with them being so knowledgeable of the roads that are slipping and with our sensitivity with now a bridge that's closed in that area, it was my understanding, through other conversations that when we get to that point of construction, road construction on a county road that we are responsible for, that they will make every attempt to not landlock. But in my opinion, if it does happen, I think the onus is on this governing body to do a better job communicating with you and other citizens as to what that schedule looks like. Because unlike the railroad bridges, those aren't our jurisdiction, they're out of our control. However, your county road is very much responsibility of this governing body, which is also why I collected those addresses, those email addresses, so that when we get to that point with whatever third party does the construction of the roads and whatever that looks like, which I don't know yet, we can communicate to you, and I think it's 7 families, I thought, that were affected within, is it 5? Okay. That are affected where the bridge is closed and where that slippage has to be repaired. And to your point, the temporary slip has held, and that was why as soon as that bridge got closed, I thought, wow, we have got to figure out who is in control and can make some decisions on that particular bridge.
And another situation, okay, you're saying you're not sure if they're gonna shut the road down or not.
We don't know yet because we haven't even gotten the permanent bid yet.
Right.
We had an estimate which allowed us to submit to the state and to the federal government for funding. Those were just estimates, of which GSI did every project and they were the only, go ahead.
I spoke with Justin at GSI.
Les, stand
Will
up.
most likely be doing the bidding for the local company that does the soil and process. He assured me that they will make every attempt possible to keep one lane open so you can get in and out. Done been working on that. As for going around the 8 miles, I can't speak to that, but Justin assured me that they would have a way for you guys not to be landlocked, so you could access and egress out of that way. Not over the railroad, but at least going around
the
the
county.
That's as much as we can offer right now.
And that's exactly what's been relayed to myself, except to Mr. Whalen's point. We haven't even gotten to a point of a signed contract, but I think when we get to that point, we could then start understanding what's the timeline look like, so we can communicate, and it may not even be an issue if they're able to work within those certain boundaries.
I thoroughly understand your frustrations.
Oh, it is
And
frustrating.
I don't live out there, but I can tell you, I've been going around for 4 years with Brian Linder and talked with him, and frankly, it was a railroad. They wouldn't even talk to the state. I mean, literally, wouldn't even call them.
In my opinion, somebody needs to stand up to the railroad because they're not.
Look, I owned a business down in Dry Ridge, and some of my buildings were on railroad's property. For 10 years, I called them. They would never return my phone call or anything. They are so, I know, you say that, and I understand what you're saying. They're terrible. They don't care. The railroad does not care.
Maybe it needs to go higher,
Where would it be? I don't know.
as high as you can go.
We'll try.
And frankly, I emailed those folks, and I think that has a lot to do with why they even got back with us. So Mitch McConnell's office, Congressman Massey, as soon as this happened, because I wasn't even privy, clearly we all known as residents that those bridges were in the shape that they were in, but I had no visibility that they were close to being closed before the permanent structure.
You know, that's the one concern, but another concern of ours is, okay, they start working on the road, you know, again, fire, ambulance, you know, to get to us.
I agree.
In a situation like that, even if there's just a little goat path to get through, an ambulance or fire truck couldn't get to us. That's another situation. Another situation, if our insurance companies and stuff learn, we used to be just a mile from the firehouse. Okay, now we're 8 miles from the firehouse. Okay, insurance finds out, well, our insurance goes up, our car insurance goes up. I mean,
You're right about that,
it's
but-
doing nothing but putting a big pain in the rear butt to us. Put your all self in our place and think about how you would feel if you was in our shoes.
I feel
Our
terrible.
land property, we still have to pay our property tax, but is it going to change because we're landlocked? No, it won't change. It won't go down because we're landlocked. If we tried to sell our house, can we put our house up for sale? No, nobody's going to buy it the way it's sitting at it now. A road collapsing here and a bridge shut down here. You know, we've been there for 21 years. We've been good residents of
What do
Great
you
County.
want us to do? We're kind of blocked too.
Well, I know, but
We
I'm
really
just
feel
saying.
sorry for you, honestly, and I know that doesn't help you. If I was over, I feel the same, and I've talked to several people out there, and I didn't know this bridge was gonna be closed to the day it happened. I didn't know it was gonna be
They was
closed.
actually under that bridge last summer.
Weren't you surprised, Steve, when they closed it?
They was under that bridge last summer, in the summer of 2017, because the bridge is adjacent to my back of my property, okay? They shut us down for like 2 or 3 weeks to put steel structures underneath
Yeah.
there. They had to know then. Wood don't rot overnight. They had to known and actually seen the bow in the structure then.
Well, can I say something? I know this didn't happen. They thought they were gonna replace it, but it kept, in every meeting I said, it kept moving 1 year down. It started, supposed to be done when Darrell Link was here. When Darrell Link was here, they would do it. And so I tried to get right on it. I didn't do a good job, I guess. But every year they moved from 2016, put it in 2017, now it's 2019. Talk about frustration. It's just like,
Yes, it is frustrating. And
Yeah, I'm
thank you
so
for your
sorry.
time.
okay, I'm glad you came up, and I do understand what you're saying. I really do. Anybody else? Okay. Well, okay, magistrates, you want to approve the minutes, please, if you would, or if you want to, whatever.
Having read the minutes of the December 3rd, 2018 meeting, I propose we approve those minutes.
I will second.
Call the roll, Pat.
Magistrate Ryan,
Yes.
Magistrate Coldar,
Yes.
Judge Wood.
Yes, motion carries. Oh, present for review and a motion to approve the claims drawn on the general fund, general fund, rail fund, and forest fund dated December 17, 2017, along with the transfers as presented. And I know that Pat wrote y'all an email today and hope to explain everything, because there were a few questions I had that she answered. But anything y'all got asked, be sure and ask us.
I would also like for y'all to include in your motion, the bill for the Dell computers for the sheriff's office, so that I can get those paid before the end of the year, even though I don't have the claim worked up.
You talked to them about the meeting?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I do want to make mention that we are approving tonight, just so the court knows and for transparency purposes, the bill that was by Mr. Rose, yes, is going to be paid, but it has been negotiated down to,
Exactly half, which is, well, it's 4,800.
it's 48.
4851, I think.
Which you two approved, by the way. I didn't do anything till I talked to you all. He was, matter of fact, he was very gentlemanly. I thought it was gonna be a tough sale. but he realized the communication and the way it went down was not right, and I agree with him, and he said that he would do that.
Yep, 4850.
And he redid the bid and everything to show the work he did.
Also,
So-
did you all get the lady in my email this afternoon regarding the county clerks?
Yes, the county.
I thought that's what she was gonna say.
No.
And here I am up here, I picked my packet up last week, and with the latest edition, I'm like, where is this edition? And so, what that edition is just acknowledgement of preparation of tax bills that the county clerk is actually legally entitled to. And this is in whole for the last 4 years, so for a full term. And that's backdating, if you will, for the preparation of tax bills. And that was an addition, so thanks for bringing that to our attention.
Yeah, the invoice for Rose were $4,851. So it was negotiated down, and based on the attorney's explanation that he did check with our legal counsel at Frankfurt, and they said, you know, the bottom line is the gentleman did perform the work, and he was never stopped at any point in time, you know, over a duration of 2 weeks, that, you know, we probably would have to pay it anyway. So you're avoiding legal cost at that point, so.
Well, I knew when I talked to him the first time, he was very nice to me, and I really felt like he would work with us, and he did, thankfully.
With all that being said, I make a motion that we approve all claims for the road fund, jail fund, forest fund, and along with transfers presented, and also the claim that was given to us by Pat earlier at the meeting, explaining on some, it was a bill that was due, it's not on the listing here, 1119, but they forgot to, they put taxes on the bill, which we are tax exempt, so there is going to be a bill less the taxes that will be paid underneath our transfers that we're approving tonight. And claims.
And I will make sure you get a copy of that at the next meeting.
Okay.
And that's for the sheriff's department's new computers for the new folks that will start in January. I second the motion.
Call the roll, Pat.
Magistrate Riley,
Yes.
Magistrate Kohler,
Yes.
Judge Wood.
Yes. Okay, present for review the Grant County Treasurer's cash position report, which you have, and there's no action required, so. Okay, new business, present for review and motion to approve the Sheriff Brian Main's annual budget, cumulative quarter report, and annual settlement for calendar year 2019, and also an annual order setting maximum amounts for deputies' assistants for 2019. Any questions?
Now we understand this is more of a formality. That has to be, the sheriff's budget is under the general budget. This is more, but a sheriff's budget does have to be filed at state by January 1st, so we understand this is more of a formality, and the real budget numbers are included in the annual budget coming up 2018 and 2019.
Right, absolutely.
Oh, that's true. Sorry.
Are you-
2019, 2020.
Are
Time's
you-
faster
Are
than
you
me.
okay on it?
Yes,
Okay, well,
I make a
I'll
motion.
you make a motion?
I make a motion that we present for approval the budget submitted by Brian Mays for the annual budget of calendar year 2019.
I'll say. Call the roll, Pat.
Magistrate Riley,
Yes.
Magistrate Kohler,
Yes.
and Judge Wood.
Yes, motion passes. Present for a motion, and thank you, Stephen. Present for a motion to cancel the road uniform contract with Elmark and enter into a contract with UniFirst Corporation. The weekly bill from Elmark is usually $182.53, and he's got down to 109. Are these uniforms together? I mean, are they good uniforms? Oh, that's a great price.
Yeah, contacted, soon to be the new mayor of Dry Ridge. He uses this company, and he has no problems with them whatsoever.
Well, thanks for saving us money, Steve.
I'm trying.
It's the quote where we talk about the high-vis t-shirts, the pocket shirts, the cargo pants, and the high-vis jackets. That means each employee will have them?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, I question that too.
Oh,
I mean, now I hope they're not just doing this to get your business and jack you up next year. But we'll have to wait till that comes.
I hope not.
Airmark always has been high, haven't they?
Yes. And they don't perform that good a service either.
No.
Yeah, my experience with Aramark, some of the quality of their,
It's not-
and condition of their uniforms are not very well either.
No.
They're good.
Is there a cancellation?
Okay,
I make a motion to cancel the road uniform contract with Aramark and to enter into a contract with UniFirst Corporation.
So-
Another
so
thing
cancellation fee.
I wanted to know on this, Steve, do we have to give them any notice, Aramark?
We've already done that.
Okay.
We had to do it 3 months ago.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's right.
All right. Continue with my motion to cancel the road uniform contract with Aramark and to enter into a contract with UniFirst Corporation.
okay,
I will second.
okay. Pat, call the roll.
Magistrate Riley,
Yes.
Magistrate Kozar,
Yes.
and Judge Wood.
Yes, motion carries. Now here we come to a motion to approve the quote for Henneke Drilling LLC in the amount of $34,184 to repair the Jameson Road slippage using railroad rails and cribbing method. Sealed bids are advertised, but no bids received by the bid date. This is the only quote that was submitted to our road department for this job. And I gotta be honest, just speaking right off the cuff, this is a good price for what's gonna be done out there. You've been out there, you've been out, I've been out there. I was really nervous. We thought it would be $100,000.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I think the original quote from GSI, just through the
115,
drilling
wasn't
group, was $117,000.
117,000.
Yeah.
But now I've asked Steve, talked to him, and these people work for the state, don't they,
Yes.
Steve?
Yeah.
Okay, so I feel
Yeah,
good about it right
I feel
now.
very
I
comfortable.
will also make sure that nothing is started until we get that
MOA.
agreement back from Craig, till it's all signed and
Yep, and we still don't know if we're going to get that, but at best, we should wait a few weeks because weather's not on our side to perform the work right now to see if the funding will be approved. But for the condition of the
Right,
road,
I
I
agree,
would find
yeah.
it hard to believe that it wouldn't be. I make a motion to approve the quote from Hinkle Drilling LLC in the amount of $34,184,000 to repair Jameson Road, with the request for work to not be authorized until we receive acknowledgement from the state as to the emergency funding.
I second.
Okay. You got the motions? Okay, Pat, call the roll.
Magistrate Riley,
Yes.
Magistrate Kozar,
Yes.
and Judge Wood.
Yes. Okay, present for a motion to grant permission for Judge Executive Stephen Wood to advertise for bids of repair slippages on Arnold's Road, Blanchard Road, Delaney Road, and Sippel Road.
I appreciate Les's help on this. He helped me write this up because I want to make sure that we addressed everything. Thank you, Les.
I make a motion to grant permission for Judge Executive Stephen Wood to advertise bids to repair road slippages on Arnold's Creek Road, Blanchard Road, Delaney Road, and also Sippel Road.
I second.
Call the roll, Pat.
Magistrate Riley,
Yes.
Magistrate Kozar,
Yes.
and Judge Wood.
Yes, motion carries. I'm going to switch this around a little bit. I'm going to present for a second reading and approval of ordinance 07-2018-0220 relating to an amendment to the Grant County zoning map for applicant Robert Schweitzer, along with the notice to be posted in the local paper showing adoption.
I I present for a second reading and approval of ordinance number 07-2018-0220 relating to an amendment to the Grant County zoning map for applicant Robert Schweitzer, along with the notice to be posted in the local paper showing adoption.
I will second.
Call the roll, Patty.
Magistrate Riley,
Yes.
Magistrate Kolar,
Yes.
Judge Wood.
Yes, motion carries. Present for a second reading and approve of ordinance 09-2018-0222 relating to a waste acceptance requirement for facilities providing for the disposal of waste in Grant County, Kentucky, along with a notice to run in the local newspaper showing adoption.
Make a motion to present for second reading and approval of ordinance number 09-2018-0222 relating to waste acceptance requirements for facilities providing for the disposal of waste in Grant County, Kentucky, along with a notice to run in the local paper showing adoption.
I will second.
Call the roll, Patty.
Magistrate Riley,
Yes.
Magistrate Kolar,
Yes.
Judge Wood.
Okay, present. What?
You vote yes.
Yes, I said okay. Present for a first reading ordinance 08-2018-0221, an amendment to certain portions of ordinance number 05-94129 regarding members that shall be appointed to the Grant County Solid Waste Management Board by the Grant County Judge Executive and confirmed by the Grant County Fiscal Court, along with a notice to run in the local paper showing a second reading to be held December 28th at 5 p.m. Now, this is to okay a notice in the paper. I don't know what y'all got to say, but I wasn't here last week, so, you know, I thought it was going to be passed, because I thought you okay, because on November 19th, I've got some of the things that were said at the meeting here, and I just checked out a few things here where the judge-elect and Miles and Joe Taylor got together to put the amendment together. And it's under my understanding that Ms. Riley wanted to make sure it was legal what we were doing. When I said we need to fix the ordinance before reappointing some of these people from violating the ordinance. The ordinance says members can be, this is Brian Miles, the ordinance says members can be appointed and reappointed once to a full year term. The last sentence, that's just an ordinance, it's not statutory. Riley deleted and updated. What Chuck is saying can be brought forward to the body with the revised ordinance, which allow this to be legal. For instance, if there were issues with any scenarios with the Board on Our Board and someone goes and pulls the history of who served on the board and they're not even legally in compliance, we can be sued. Miles, we can't sit back because it's simply deleting one sentence. It's 2 meetings in December. It could be over and done with. We don't lose anything. It sounds like everyone is in agreement that there's no issue except for Bobby Newman, who says, I don't want to do it. Miles said we can handle the meeting before so we don't have to have a lapse of time. Riley, could we do this? Could we put a revised ordinance so we can update that it's so legal and once it's taken care of, come back to the reappointment so then it will be legal and not violate the term. At that point, Brian Miles says, I'll take her writing up. Riley said, okay. From what I get this, I thought both of y'all were in agreement on this. Am I right or wrong? I think y'all both were in favor of doing this. But then, when I got from the minutes of the last meeting and directly from the newspaper, it seemed like y'all kind of twisted around and didn't want to do it. But I think it would be a real plus for Chuck Dills, who's going to be our new incoming judge, to have this done before he comes in. Still do what you want to do with the board, but this will put him ahead in the game. I know when I came into office, there was a lot of things hanging, and less hanging was better for me. And I just would like to see this done tonight, if possible, if you all agree with me, and try to get this past us. What do you think?
No, I don't feel any different than I did last meeting. I stand in the position.
Do you feel the same way?
I feel, yes, I do feel on continuing to table this until the full new governing body will be here in the next few weeks. Because I think there's more to this that, for me, I just need confirmation. And it's not to undermine or question any of these board members, because I sit around the very same table with you on very early Saturday mornings multiple times. And for me, it has nothing to do with questioning your integrity or the position in which you serve this community, because I frankly think you do that very well, and probably for some of you go above and beyond serving on this board. For me, this goes back to a couple things that still doesn't sit well with me, even though I've been told.
What are they?
Well, let me get there.
I'm sorry.
Even though I've been told it's legal, part of me, and in spirit of full transparency, because any of you know you can ask me a question and I will be as truthful as I can, and as respectful as I can. Well, no, I want it to be said,
No.
because I think this
But
is
this
what.
isn't a forum, so go ahead.
It's not a forum, and you're asking if I support this, and I want folks to understand why I think there needs to be more looking into this. My gut tells me that this 109 board is maybe at the surface acting as a taxing district when I'm told, let me finish, when I'm told as a, what I've been told is that my powers have been delegated to the 109 board, and this goes back to that daggone skid steer, where there's a lot of issue in this community with the skid steer. And again, I respect each and every one of you, and I respect you, Mr. Miles, and I wonder if there's not something more to this ordinance that was originally told to me that our powers were delegated to the board. And as we go back and look at the potential of revisiting a term, I think we ought to go back and make sure that every single one of us new members that will serve you for the next 4 years, that we visit that, because to me that doesn't make sense. You're not a taxing district, so how do you have the legal authorization to enter into a contract that I don't support paying that fee? Then when I was told that I wouldn't pay that I couldn't legally not approve that invoice, I struggle with that, Steve, and for me, that's the additional confirmation I need to know.
Well, can I ask you
original
something? I don't mean to
ordinance.
interrupt you, but what we were gonna do out there, we were gonna shut down the place.
Well, no one came back to this governing body on what other solutions exist. Surely we could find a used skid steerer for 12 and 15 grand that would get the job done for the
No.
minimal use.
I'm sorry,
And
I
then
told
go
you.
back to the invoices, where it doesn't even seem to be an apples to apples comparison on the invoices, the prior invoices compared to the new invoices, when this county wasn't paying for drop off and pickup of a skid steer, because out of the gracious of his heart, he was probably doing that with his own personal vehicle.
He was.
But that's not still the same deal that's happening now.
Well, let me say
with the
something
new.
here.
And
May I
I'm saying there's a
interject
lot more to
something?
this.
What?
May I interject something?
Yes?
All right. Prior to September, once the front end loader went down
Yeah.
and we no longer could use it, we were renting a Bobcat from Arts. Yes, there are bills out there that shows $270, $260, $280 for that Bobcat rental. But that's because my county truck was not capable of handling a Bobcat on a trailer. The braking system, the auxiliary braking system is out. So yes, and thank you for saying, out of the goodness of my heart, I used my personal truck, my personal equipment to haul that around. Now, once all of the mess started with the Bobcat, and it not being purchased after it was put into the budget, the bid was approved, and all that menagerie that took place, I decided that I wasn't going to use my personal equipment, my business equipment, to haul this Bobcat around anymore. So the price went up by $140. It's $70 to deliver and $70 to drop off the Bobcat. And I supplied those invoices to the magistrates and the judge in an email that I sent out explaining all of this. And I supplied all that. After that, Chuck Dills comes up to me in the office and he says, Brian, he said, something's not adding up here. We have invoices that show we were only paying $270. That's when I informed Chuck that, yes, that's correct, because I was subsidizing the cost of that Bobcat rental by using my personal equipment. I couldn't ask my colleague to use road department equipment because he's been informed that we can't do it. So what was I to do? So now we get to the position of we have Arch renting us a Bobcat at $350 or $360, true cost. I checked with people who rent Bobcats by the hour, and their cost is more expensive than the $350 or $360 for the day. And then I get contacted and said, hey, if you guarantee the county a good rate, the best rate on the rental, we'll go ahead and sell you the Bobcat at that amount, because they knew that I was in a position that I could buy it and that I was a businessman in this county. I investigated the personnel policies of the county. I investigated the administrative code of the county. I consulted with the county attorney. And nothing that took place here was illegal or was improper.
Right, and the best we were told when I asked is when on the surface you could say that it's not technically illegal, you should not enter into the contract. When the best you could say it's not technically illegal.
Well,
and all I was saying was I would have liked to have saw the 109 board or you come back to this governing body and say, well, what can we afford? Because I think we're having words put in our mouth, Brian, that we approved the full 25 grand when this governing body never did that. We approved that money to be sit there with the intentions of it being a matching grant.
That is not true.
That's what this
And I
whole
will
world
tell you,
voted on. Half these people were
there's
here.
probably people sitting in this audience, I'm not gonna name them, that know what happened on that deal. Here's what happened, let's see if we can maybe get a grant, I said, great. But we put the 25,000, and if we didn't get the grant, now, we were plan on getting the grant, we'd only put 12,500 in.
You still
We
have
put
to show a
25,000
placeholder for
in,
the money coming in.
because we
when you got
needed the
grant.
Bobcat, we needed the Bobcat, that's what we put in the budget.
But outside of that, I think this governing body would have supported purchasing a used Bobcat also to prevent any of this stickiness, to prevent frankly, the outcry of community saying, what in the world are you doing?
I haven't had that.
Jacqueline, the comment that was made at the very last meeting on the purchase of the Bobcat, the comment that was made and supported by the fiscal court was, we cannot justify buying a Bobcat for it to be used once or twice a week or once every other week and it just sit there. We will rent a Bobcat for you. That's the statement that came out of the fiscal court.
Well, but then play this out, Brian. Play out for the public the potential of how often the Bobcat could be rented and how much the county would pay if you wanted to rent the Bobcat to yourself once a week. I'm just trying to play devil's advocate
It's not
with
what,
the
and that's one
perception.
thing I want to clear up right here, right now. It is not how much I want to rent that Bobcat.
But it's
that
how much
doesn't-
good, which
that
is what
doesn't-
that contract states.
Yeah, but 19 years of integrity and serving this county ought to demonstrate that that's not the person that I am, okay? What dictates the rental of that Bobcat is when the tire shreds get to the bottom of that shredder and I can't process tires anymore because they're there, every tire that piles up could lead to a $25,000 fine for this government, for the county. So I'm looking at a $25,000 fine if tires are stacking up, or putting a sweetheart deal together for the county's benefit, which it is, so that we don't get into that spot. Now, the Bobcat has been rented since October. You know, we're 2.5 months into this. I projected that the Bobcat rental would be probably once every other week. It's been out there 5 times in about 10 weeks. So the rental frequency is about what I projected it would be. I also have pictures from every time that Bobcat has gone out there that shows the shred stacked up to the bottom of the shredder and piles of tires sitting there needing to be processed. That's the documentation that I'm doing. That's transparency, that is documentation and proof that I am not getting anything over on county.
And that's fair, and I'm just saying that, and like I said, I'm not questioning.
Yes, you are. You are questioning our integrity right
But
now.
I'm telling you, when the legal advice that I get from the assistant county attorney that says, I go back to that statement, when the best you could say that it's technically not illegal, you should not probably condone moving
You
forward
said the
in a
assistant county
relationship.
attorney?
Yes, because
What
I
about the
emailed
attorney?
both of them.
What about what
Yes.
the attorney said?
Well, she's the one I think that attempted to probably try to stand up to this and say,
Good
hey,
job.
people, this doesn't smell right, it doesn't feel right, you should not embark on this relationship.
Well, there
Well,
were
with all due
three attorneys
respect,
that-
Magistrate O'Reilly, the county attorney, Joe Taylor, issued an opinion saying that this was perfectly legitimate and proper. I, as a practicing attorney for 27 years, examined it on behalf of the 109 board and found that it was legal and proper. And Keiko's attorney in Frankfurt examined it and found that it was legal and
I
proper.
didn't know that all the information was given to them.
Absolutely, it was given to them.
Julie's message was before I did the research on this issue.
I think
And I did the
Well,
research.
and then
I
all
checked
I'm
the
saying
data,
is, and maybe we'll
and
come back to this, but I think there are other people that wanted to weigh in on this, and I feel like in 2 weeks, you might as well give them the opportunity to do so.
Well, where we're sitting right now, there are representatives of the cabinet in the audience here. If we do not take action, then we're looking at voluntarily putting ourselves into non-compliance with the state. And there are stiff penalties for being in non-compliance with the state.
What is our non-compliance?
If
Identify our non-compliance.
non-compliance is if we do not have a valid acting 109 board, and as of December 31st, we will not.
I'm told, what I was told is that if there is not a representative elected to the 901 board.
109 board.
The 109 board, excuse me. The sitting people who are there can continue in that until that capacity is filled. That's what I was told.
Unless we are intentionally putting ourselves into non-compliance.
Why don't you?
And
I
in
respect
this,
both of you.
in this
Why-
case with the ordinance, okay,
So you can turn it
what we
down.
are doing,
So therefore, we have been in non-compliance for several years, is what you're saying?
no, the cabinet has informed me that by statute, the 109 board is current, it is valid, and it cannot be invalidated by statute. In the hierarchy of law, you have statute, you have regulation,
I understand
you
that,
have
Brian,
ordinance.
I'm not
Okay.
dumb.
The statute is what is empowering and giving authority to the 109 board. It's not the local ordinance.
Right, I understand that.
Lady, excuse me. If you would approve this,
I am of the opinion
Can I
that I'm
finish?
standing that we table this until the new court.
well, I want to say this. I kind of wish y'all would get over this. This has been going on so long, and it's been such a controversial thing. If you were to go on and approve the first reading, you can vote down the second reading.
We've been down this road before. We're told that we can approve the first reading. We do the second one, we say, oh, no, you can't do that. You've
No,
already
I
got the
don't
first
know when
reading.
that ever happened. Explain when that happened. Explain to me, Sean, when that happened. Give me an instance. I don't remember anything like that. I really don't. We should give it time when it happened.
Just like the budget situation. Oh, go on with the budget, go on and approve the first reading. Everything's fine. And then you get to the second reading and you want to make a change. No, you can't make a change now. You already approved the first.
That's not true. That is totally not true. That is not true, Sean. I know what you're saying. But if y'all don't want to do it, so be it. I just wish y'all would get over this.
Do we want to have the cabinet representatives come up and speak to this matter?
I'd love for them if they're here. Are they here?
They are here.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'd be happy to
Come on up.
answer any questions. Sorry, we were notified last minute that there were some questions about how your solid waste management district operates and how your governing body functions with the decisions that are made on behalf of your district. My name is Lynn True. This is Deborah DeLong, and we work for the local planning and assistance section. This is in the recycling and local assistance branch. We work directly with county governments, local governments, municipalities, and 109 district boards on how they govern and manage their solid waste. As a district, as all counties are, this is in line with federal initiative, you're required to put together a solid waste management plan, and it runs on a 5-year cycle. It has to be updated every 5 years. Currently, your 5-year plan went into effect 2018, and then it will be updated in 2022. As far as I know, Brian's been the solid waste director here for many years and has put most of those plans together. And he also wrote this one. And as with all the previous ones, and since 1993, when you initially established the district, you are operating as a 109 district, meaning that the governing body is not fiscal court, it's the 109 board, it's the board of trustees of this district that makes the decisions regarding any kind of decisions regarding solid waste. And that has to do with the whole spectrum of solid waste management, from collection services to disposal, to how your facilities are run, to entering into contracts such as your host agreement that you have with a local landfill. So all of these things are part of your solid waste management plan. And in order to be in compliance with your plan and implement all of the strategies and goals that have been set forth in your plan that these board members all approved by resolution back in 2018, and then we approved by the cabinet after Deborah reviewed that. All of those things are now how you're functioning in this 5-year planning cycle. So if you try to alter any of that, that would put you out of compliance, because right now you're operating as a district. And
What is the way to not operate as a district anymore?
if you
And
decide,
how many counties do
counties have 2 options. You can either operate as a solid waste management area. Most counties do, and those date back to KRS 224, which are Department for Environmental Protection regulations and statutes that we work under that agency. Prior to those, counties in the very earliest part of solid waste planning, which date back to the 60s and 70s, there were a few counties that were progressive enough and far-minded enough to realize to put in some mechanisms for trying to manage their solid waste decades ago. And Grant County was one of the few counties that did that. You all developed what was called a 109 board. There are only about 10 in the state, and you all are one of them, and there are advantages to having a 109 board. And it's always served our county very well from looking back on some of the things that you've been able to accomplish here and continue to progress. So if you did not want to keep with your 109 board, the only other alternative is to develop an area.
Okay.
And you can't just decide that overnight or through a resolution. There's a process in order to dissolve a 109 board. Several ways to do it, but it's a lengthy process. It involves a petition. It involves a certain percentage of your voters. It involves fiscal court and the 109 board and their approval of it. And in addition to that, you would be ending the 109 districts